What was supposed to be a night of celebration turned into disaster after 4 friends who were all drunk left the bar in the city without a designated driver. Designate a driver. Don't drink and drive.
This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Friday, the 6th day of December in the year 2024. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting, and here's what we're tracking tonight. The opposition People's National Congress reform today continued to decry the process being used to register persons for the government's one-off $100,000 cash grant for Guyanese, saying the government is trying to create a parallel system to frustrate citizens when it could have used existing database material to provide the grant via direct bank transfers and cash rather than using those checks. PNC Reform Treasurer Elson Lowe told a news conference that a move by the government to do registration of persons who are already in its system highlights poor planning.
Call on the government to cease the unnecessary registration process and for payments to be made where possible through the same mechanisms that it currently regularly used. This will remove the need to needlessly process over 50% of recipients and thereby minimize the burden on the system and the frustration and time wasting of citizens. These approximately 300,000 persons need not stand in line either to register, to collect checks, or to deposit checks in the bank.
According to the PNC Reform Executive, the government has failed to utilize data that it already has and seems to be complicating a process.
The government has failed to exploit the fact that over 150,000 public servants and pensioners receive monthly payments through an established government scheme. Approximately another 150,000 private sector workers are also registered in the tax system. These 300,000 workers and pensioners and tens of thousands of other Guyanese have tax identification numbers, which are unique identifiers. Furthermore, most citizens already have ID cards. Let us also note that hundreds of thousands have bank accounts and could therefore receive payments by direct government transfer into those accounts.
The government has already rolled out the cash grant initiative, with Vice President Barrett Jagdeo yesterday declaring that the current focus is on 5 regions, 1, 4, 7, 8, and 9, as well as pensioners and public servants. Mr. Jagdeo clarified also that persons who miss the registration process will still be able to benefit from the cash grant at a later time. But the PNC Reform believes that the current process is already creating some level of confusion.
Not surprisingly, complaints from pensioners, public servants, persons with disabilities, shut-ins, and other citizens are increasingly mounting. We are seeing long waiting times, inadequate and conflicting official communication, inept operations at centers, and some registered persons not receiving their checks. The elderly should not be standing in the hot sun for prolonged periods or at all. And pregnant women and people with disabilities should be similarly catered for.
A number of communities across the country will continue the registration exercise this weekend. More news coming up in just a moment.
It all starts with one. Maybe it's one look. You know the one. Or one touch. Even one word. It can start with one step. Or one promise. One thrill. One first time, one deep breath, one leap of faith, one day to remember, or one night to forget. One moment, so many stories that make up one crazy, average, everyday, fabulous life. We get one life, just one. Make your move. It all starts with one.
Your own home is so much more than just four walls, floors, and ceilings. It's a lifetime of great memories and stories. Come talk to us and start your journey home today.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
Honey, what are you doing? Let's cash out. Let's cash out.
Shop $5,000 or more at any Massey stores for a chance to win a 2024 Nissan Qashqai Sense and $100,000 every 2 weeks with Massey Stores Christmas Jackpot Promotion.
Welcome back. Although Guyanese living abroad are eligible for that $100,000 cash grant being distributed by the government, they will have to be in Guyana to register for the grant and to pick it up. At a press conference yesterday, Vice President Barrett Jagdeo made it clear that although all Guyanese 18 years old and older are eligible for the grant, there will be no overseas registration exercise.
Let me say again, for people who are overseas, they're asking me if they can go to the consulate to register, and the answer is no. That whether we'll be having a desk in Queens and Brooklyn and Toronto to get them registered, and the answer is no. We made it clear that if you have to register in Guyana and collect your check in Guyana.
The government has started registration for the cash grant in a number of communities across the country. As part of that registration process, eligible persons have to provide their Guyana national ID card or passport. Once the information is verified, checks would then be issued at a later date. So far, only residents of Region 9 have received their cash grant payments, since they were among the first to be registered. The Vice President has also indicated that for those non-resident Guyanese who may be in Guyana for the registration but may be unavailable for the pickup of the grant, no one else will be allowed to uplift that grant.
We're not, whilst we're people living abroad, Guyanese living abroad are eligible, we are not going to be conducting registration exercises abroad. That they have to be done right here in Guyana. And they have to present themselves physically to do that. They can't come with authorization to give someone else to collect the money on their behalf.
Vice President Jagdeo encouraged all eligible persons to get registered for the cash grant. He said the information gathered during the registration process will also be used for future cash grant distributions. Opposition Member of Parliament and PNC Reform Executive Ganesh Mahipaul hammered the government today for failing to hold anyone accountable for the myriad of problems facing public procurement and the award of major contracts. At the PNC Reform press conference at Congress Place, Mahipaul said the government has no interest in fixing the broken and corrupt procurement system, since, according to him, it is benefiting the friends and families of the administration.
Right now, what we have are a set of friends, families, and favorites, a set of corrupt individuals engaged in abusing the Public Procurement Act of Guyana, and they are abusing it much to their own comfort and the People's Progressive Party's comfort. And that is what we have to guard against. Contractors are complaining. Residents are complaining about substandard work. We are seeing a lot of delays in completion of works. We are seeing friends, families, and favorites being awarded huge sums of contracts to do work. And we're recognizing that they have an inability of ensuring that they have the capacity to get it done.
The opposition MP said the government continues to dodge the opposition's call to be given a seat on the National Tender Board. Vice President Jack Dio has already shut down that suggestion. Mr. Mahipaul said instead of the Irfan Ali-led government improve the procurement system and address acts of corruption in the system, it is providing shelter for corrupt persons.
By the way, that 5:30 meeting that happened, which was a big sham, up to now you can't see anybody being held accountable. Up to now you can't see Minister Sonia Parag or Anand Prasad being held accountable for lying to the president and saying only one project they have under their ministry that is 4 months and more delayed. Nobody is being held accountable. It was a big sham. And that is what the People's Progressive Party do. They engage in optic politics.
The government has been coming on the fire over the scores of projects that are facing delays and the many others that are still to be implemented. The administration has also been accused of having a procurement system that benefits persons who are close to the governing party. In some areas, even supporters of the governing party have been forced to complain to party leaders about friends and families of party reps coveting contracts ahead of qualified and experienced persons and companies. The government has said it is continuing its efforts to tackle the acts of corruption.
It's here again! The Guyana Public Service Cooperative Credit Union Festive Favorites Christmas promotion is here! Members, here is your chance to win and win big! You can win one of 10 50-inch television sets, over 40 grocery vouchers valued $50,000, one of 10 microwaves, one of 10 vacuums, and one of 10 Samsung cell phones. But wait, that's not all! Members also have a chance to win one 60-inch television, an air conditioning unit, a double-door refrigerator, a trip for two to Kaitro Falls, and a grand prize of $500,000. Yes, you heard right, $500,000. It's Festive Favorites at GPS CCU. To enter this promotion, you must be a member of the credit union in good standing and must have taken your first loan. Each member is entitled to only one coupon. Coupons are available at our Hatfield Street office and our representatives countrywide. Happy holidays from the Guyana Public Service Cooperative Credit Union. People helping people.
Your own home is so much more than just 4 walls, floors, and ceilings. It's a lifetime of great memories and stories. Come talk to us and start your journey home today.
Republic Bank. We're the one for you.
In the courts now, one day after she was arrested at the Chile-Jagan airport with almost 5 pounds of cocaine strapped to her body, aviation security officer Keisha Green pleaded guilty this morning to the charge of drug trafficking, and she was sentenced to 3 years in jail. Additionally, the 29-year-old woman was fined $3.2 million. Green was reporting for her airport job on Thursday when routine searches by the Customs Anti-Narcotics Unit uncovered the packets of cocaine strapped to her body under her uniform. she was immediately arrested and told of the drug trafficking offense. She appeared in court this morning before Magistrate Wanda Fortune and opted to enter a guilty plea. With that plea, the magistrate handed down the 3-year jail sentence and the fine. Another airport worker, Shaquille Thompson, was also nabbed with almost 5 pounds of cocaine in his possession on the same day. The 28-year-old man appeared in court today also and was remanded to jail after entering a not guilty plea. He is expected to appear back in court on the 8th of January for the continuation of the case against him. Both airport workers lived at the same address at Suzdike on the east bank of the Marara. The woman worked as an aviation security officer, while the man worked as an airport security officer. Earlier this year, 2 other airport workers were charged for cocaine trafficking after they were busted with cocaine in a suitcase that they were attempting to load on an aircraft. Well, the leader of the Alliance for Change, Nigel Hughes, today fired back at Vice President Barrett Jagdeo, who earlier this week accused the opposition of leading a campaign to discredit the Guyana Elections Commission so as to dispute next year's general and regional elections. At a press conference today, Mr. Hughes said the Elections Commission, by its own actions and admissions, is discrediting itself. He said although GCOM has admitted a blunder recently, the PPP is the only party that believes that the current Elections Commission is fit and proper to administer what will be a hotly contested election next year.
The only person who is expressing anything looking like confidence in GCOM at this stage is the People's Progressive Party. ANOG has clearly expressed its disappointment. The People's National Congress a long time ago have been calling for Ms. Singh to go. The Working People's Alliance echoed that call, and we last week, upon this admission of error by GCOM, have said that it is not possible, it is not tenable for Ms. Singh to remain in that position.
Hughes said the recent statements by the chairman of GCOM, retired Justice Claudette Singh, that she will resign when she wants to, shows how disconnected she is from the sentiments of the Guyanese people towards the institution that she is in charge of.
Well, dear Madam Justice Claudette Singh, I know that you've had a long and perhaps sterling career, and I suspect the last act in that career of exercising any sort of judicial function ought not to be one where you have clearly erred, you have admitted your error, and now you're refusing to go because you want to decide when you should go. In the best interest of this country, in the best interest of moving the level of our political discourse, the level of our engagement, and most importantly, the level of confidence in our electoral authority, please go, resign, go home.
The AFC leader also detailed a number of missteps that he believes warrants an overhaul at the Elections Commission. He said GCOM must get itself together soonest, since an election is imminent.
You couldn't ask for better ingredients for the perfect storm for next year. And I plead on behalf of the citizens of this country, let us at least get the electoral process right. Let us get the preparation for the electoral process right, so that we don't start off with all of these difficulties. And the first step in that process is that, of course, we would have to identify who are the persons who are likely to replace Ms. Singh as chairperson of GCOM.
Mr. Hughes said the current list of electors also remain a serious issue, an issue which the current chairman has shown no urgency to address. The winner of the popular Canadian drag race, Priyanka, who was born to Guyanese parents, is in Guyana on a visit to not only reconnect with the birthplace of her parents, but to also showcase her talent as a pop star. Priyanka will headline a concert on Saturday at the Theatre Guild. The concert is meant to celebrate the progress that Guyana has made on LGBT rights. Priyanka said initially she was warned against performing in Guyana out of fear of persons linked to the LGBT community being targeted. However, she was pleased to learn through the Society Against Sexual Orientation Discrimination that the country has been making steady progress towards the acceptance of LGBT people.
When I did some research, everything online said it was really bad here for, drag queens, LGBT people, trans people. But then I met Joel from Sassode, and it was very like, girl, what are you talking about? Like, yes, we have work to do. Canada has work to do. The States has work to do. But there's gay people in Guyana. In Guyana? I couldn't believe it. Even like before I came here.
A recent study found that a large portion of Guyana's population not only supports legal protection for LGBT people, but thinks it is government's responsibility to protect persons from the LGBT community. Further, the study found that a clear majority of 53.9% of the Guyanese population is likely to support the elimination of laws that are discriminatory against LGBT persons. Priyanka said throughout her visit she will be championing the need for Guyanese, regardless of their sexual orientation, to coexist peacefully and respectfully.
I always say that as a community, the LGBTQ community, we have to meet people where they are at. We are so tired and we're so bullied, and there's so many of our community members being killed all over the world all the time because of their identity. My mission and my message is to like spread the word of like, how do we meet in the middle? How do we as a society exist in the same spaces and just treat each other as humans?
The concert, which is being hosted by SASAT Guyana and the Drag Academy, will also mark the launch of the Guyana Pride Festival 2025. According to SASAT, the concert will be no ordinary drag show, as Priyanka promises an electrifying performance. Priyanka's debut album of original music was launched back in August.
Guyana's economy is rapidly transforming, and we're all part of it. Guyoil is at the forefront of this development by providing reliable and efficient energy and supporting community development from the very core. 100% of Guyoil's profit goes back to building schools, roads, and other important infrastructure that connects our cities and towns, providing fuel to domestic, marine, industrial, and aerial transportation. Guyoil has now repositioned itself as a market leader in the petroleum industry, building a better future for all of us.
What was supposed to be a night of celebration turned into disaster after 4 friends who were all drunk left the bar in the city without a designated driver. Designate a driver. Don't drink and drive.
It all starts with one. Maybe it's one look. You know the one. Or one touch. Even one word. It can start with one step. Or one promise. One thrill. One first time. One deep breath. One leap of faith. One day to remember, or one night to forget. One moment, so many stories that make up one crazy, average, everyday, fabulous life. We get one life, just one. Make your move. It all starts with one.
Across the region tonight, nearly 20 of the roughly 400 Kenyan police officers serving in Haiti on a UN-backed anti-gang force have submitted letters of resignation from the mission over the past 2 months because of pay delays and poor conditions, 3 of the officers have reported. The officers have received no response to their letters and continue to serve on the multinational security support mission in Haiti. The 3 officers spoke to the media on the condition that their identities would not be revealed. Kenya's National Police spokesperson did not respond to calls from the Reuters news agency seeking a comment. The National Police Chief in Kenya addressed the reports in Kenya media of pay delays at a news conference, saying the officers had been paid up to the end of October. The three officers disputed that, saying that they were last paid in September. Kenya has deployed around 400 officers since June to lead the international mission. The mission is meant to comprise around 2,500 personnel from about 10 countries, but the force has been hobbled by funding and staffing shortfalls. With Mexico seeking an agreement with U.S. President-elect Donald Trump to ensure it does not receive deportees from third countries in case of large-scale deportations of migrants from the U.S., the Bahamas has also rejected taking third-country deportees if Trump carries out his promised vast crackdown on immigrants in the U.S. The Trump transition team has discussed deporting migrants to places other than their home country if those nations will not accept them. The possible destinations could include Panama, Turks and Caicos, the Bahamas, and Grenada. Mexico says it is looking to strike a deal with Trump that it will not accept the third country deportees. The Bahamian Prime Minister Philip Davis, meanwhile, said the Caribbean nation's government had received and firmly rejected the request. And finally tonight, international news. The popular app TikTok and its bid to overturn a law which would see it banned or sold in the US from early next year has been rejected. The social media company had hoped a federal appeals court would agree with its argument that the law was unconstitutional because it represents a staggering impact on the free speech of its 170 million US users. But the court upheld the law, which it said was a culmination of extensive bipartisan action by the Congress and by successive presidents. TikTok says it will now take its fight to the U.S. Supreme Court, the country's highest legal authority. The U.S. wants TikTok sold or banned because of what it says are its owners' links to the Chinese state. Links TikTok and parent company ByteDance have always denied them. The court agreed the law was carefully crafted to deal only with control by a foreign adversary, and it was part of a broader effort to counter a well-substantiated national security threat posed by the People's Republic of China. But TikTok said it was not the end of its legal fight. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting and encouraging you to have a safe and enjoyable weekend.